Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Deacon Kahleial with the King James Bible University, and today I am bringing forth a teaching called Envious Heart, an Internal Struggle. So, looking at an envious heart and the things that are contained in it and how it can affect others, and just looking at pretty much just some ways to help combat that if it's a struggle that you're having, or it is something that might be, a hindrance or something that you might be realizing that you're having difficulty with on your walk and on your journey. An envious heart is one that is pretty serious to deal with, and it's something that can be very detrimental as well if it ain't dealt with. So getting into it, just understanding, just envy. Envy is a consuming poison that will eat at a person until there's nothing left. Envy is a sickness that can blind one from things that truly matter. Envy is as a void that cannot be filled, yet continues to grow and spread like a cancer. Envy is not something to be played with, and it's something that needs to be put in check. Because if you don't kill it, it can and will kill you. It has ties to self-glorification, self-esteem issues, high-mindedness, haughtiness. It has ties to pride, self-righteousness, anxiety, trust issues, and self-idolatry. Some people, you just idolizing self. So today we'll look at the envious heart and how to combat and overcome this struggle. This is something that might become like a series of sorts, because it's a teaching that, admittedly so, it's going to be a teaching that I'm going to be hitting myself over the head a lot based on some issues and struggles that I'm having. But this is some of the correction and some of the reproof that is in the scripture that does help and it does work. So if anybody else is struggling with said issue, then this might be a good thing here for you. And if you're not, then you might learn envy from a different angle or something like that, because there was some angles in there that I didn't realize was tying to it that I myself was doing. So, but without further ado, we'll get into it, and we'll start at the first section, which is just called "Watch What You're Saying and Consider Your Words." And we'll start with Jeremiah. Let me make sure this is turned up good. There we go. We'll start at Jeremiah 17:9. And it reads, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" So just illustrating that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So this is the condition that, we're born with this. A lot of people have, their own issues and things that they may be dealing with, but none of us can say that we never had, issues in our heart. So the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And I'll read this without the italicized words, because you have is and you have things. So it reads, "The heart deceitful above all and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" So it's a very serious thing. So from here we'll go to Sirach chapter 14 and verse 8. And this will be the part we're really focusing on here, but we'll read the whole thing. And it reads, "The envious man So the envious, male or female, have the wicked understanding. He turneth away his face and despiseth men. So, despise, foundationally can mean evil spoken of. So an envious man will speak evil of men. You're going to speak bad about people and just be talking about people and all these things. Could be talking behind people's back, being slanderous, just not minding their own business, being in other people's business, sitting there, getting in situations where they're going to sit there and talk about the next person but not look at themselves. And you can tie them to hypocrisy and other things of the sort. It's very, very serious. Very, very serious on that. So we'll continue this and we'll go to Leviticus 19-16. Hold on 1 second. Let me do this real quick. Okay. So we'll go to Leviticus 19-16. And it reads, Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Spirit of God. So, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the life of thy neighbor. I am the Spirit of God. So, just reinforcing, there's no need to gossip or to stand against the life of our neighbors, because our neighbors are the ones who are on the same walk as we are, seeking after the same thing as we are, which is supposed to be the kingdom of God. So we're not in competition with our brethren and sisters. We should not seek after vainglory. We should not speak on their lives and what they're doing, because we really need to check ourselves and to tell our ground daily and to make sure that there's nothing that we're doing that's not displeasing to the Most High God, and looking inwardly, looking at that mirror, because one of the hard things can be to look at the mirror because it's ugly, but it's something that has to be done daily. It really has to be something that's done daily, because that little bit can flare up on you, and next thing you know, you're doing some terrible things and this, that, and the third. So we have to look in the mirror. We have to check ourselves daily and diligently search and make sure that we're doing those things that are pleasing to the Most High, because we can't please him in flesh. And if we're sitting here being as a talebearer, we're going to look at a couple of things about a talebearer, because talebearers is not cool. So we'll look at Proverbs, because a talebearer always got something negative to say about somebody too. A talebearer is a slanderous type of person. Proverbs 26-22. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. All right, so these words are as wounds, and they go into the innermost parts of your storehouse. This can disrupt the order and flow of how things are supposed to be. See, a talebearer giving you all this gossip, all this drama, these words can cause one to meditate upon them. But these are vain words. So they're going to give you vain words. They're going to give you this tattletale type stuff, this slanderous, talking about somebody else. Oh, hey, I heard that Jeremy. Like all this, they just talking. And it's talk that's not needed. It's talk that's unnecessary. And they'll be sitting there talking about the next person, talking about this person, talking about that person. The talebearer is going to put themselves on a pedestal. They ain't going to say nothing bad about themselves, but they're going to be quick to say something bad about somebody else. So it's a real messed up thing with that. So we'll go to Proverbs 26-23. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. See, these words that these talebearers will have, they seek to break things up and can seriously affect those around them if they take that in. This verse 23 illustrates that these burning lips and this wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. Okay, so we know that dross, something that's covered with dross, something that's covered with sin. So these things are covered in sin, and that sin, it must be purged. There ain't no other way around that. It's an extremely dangerous thing to deal with and to also be affected by. Our heart must be made right. We can't have these wicked things in our heart. We can't have this be what's going on. It cannot happen. Now, a talebearer is a person that is also not trustworthy. It is a person that will sit there. You can't tell them nothing because they'll sit there. It's the type of individual that you will tell them something and then they'll turn and use that same thing against you. So, sure, people have dealt with that before, or might have even done this to somebody. But that's the person. The talebearer is that person that you will tell them something confidential that you might be struggling with or going through, and they'll turn around. Oh yeah, Jeremy. And that dude Jeremy, he don't even know how to tie his shoe. That lame old Jeremy, bro. Man, look, Jeremy, bro. They'll sit there. They'll really say anything. So we'll go and we'll look at that. We'll go to Proverbs 20 and 19. As we were saying, he that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. He's in everybody's business, telling everybody's business, just talking about people. For that reason, therefore, meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. So that one that's going to flatter with their lips, they're going to sit there and try to seduce you with their speech and what they're saying. Oh, yeah, because they trying to pull you over to what they into. And they not really trying to be on anything that actually matters. They're going to try to fill you with some vain words, fill you up with vain words that don't profit you anything. So that's a real dangerous thing, because if you sitting there putting your ear to that, you basically asking to get poisoned by whatever nonsense they trying to tell you. That talebearer got to stop. So that mouth must be stopped. So let's see here. Let's go to the next verse in Proverbs 20 real quick. It says, wait a minute. What is that right there? No, it's 26:20. Sorry about that. Proverbs 26 and 20. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Because that talebearer is coming to bring drama. That talebearer is coming to sow strife. It's coming to bring division. A talebearer will cause schisms and all these different things in the body. And that's not something that, you should want to be around or indulge in yourself. We got to learn how to really watch what we saying and examine ourselves. Why are we saying these things? Why are these things that we're participating in or practicing or doing? We have to really stop. So right there, wherever there is no talebearer, the strife will stop. So also, where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So we can't have fleshly desires or anything like that, and sitting there just indulging in fleshly practices, because a person that's walking, according to the Spirit, ain't gonna be sitting there talking about, because a talebearer is gonna be talking about nothing but physical stuff, this carnal stuff, talking about what they see, what they hear, this, that, and it ain't gonna be nothing that's gonna edify you. So we're going to look at some of that practical advice on just overcoming something like that, dealing with something like that. And, this comes out of the book of Sirach. Sirach 19 and 6. And it reads, he that can rule his tongue shall live without strife, and he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. That one's really straightforward. So we'll continue. 7. Rehearse not unto another that which is told unto thee. Exactly what's been talking about. And thou shalt fare never the worse. Verse 8. And this part is pretty important. Whether it be friend or foe, talk not of other men's lives. And if thou canst without offense, reveal them not. So it ain't no reason to be sitting there, once again, talking about other people and what they got going on in their life, and this, that, and the third, and what they got going on, and what they got going on. You know, people who indulge in that activity and talk about other people typically are miserable themselves, and misery loves company. So it's going to want to sit there and bring another person around so that they can put themselves on a pedestal and do this and do that, talk about this, talk about that, talk about that. It ain't everybody's business what the next man is going through. And you know, and whoever told you that stuff privately, your friend, they trusted that information would stay with you. And we're supposed to build each other up and help each other and encourage each other and edify each other on what's going on this walk and on this journey, because we should be seeking after the kingdom of God. So you shouldn't be sitting there doing that. And even if it is your enemy, okay, what's that to you? What they got going on? That clearly shows what your focus is on. It ain't nothing that's important. You focused on something vain when you sit there and do that. So it's just straightforward. It's real straightforward. For he heard and observed thee, and when time come, he will hate thee. Verse 10. If thou hast heard a word, let it die with thee, and be bold, it will not burst thee. So it ain't gonna be this impossible task to hush your lips. It's not an impossible task at all. That's something that we just need to, we just gotta really get in the swing of, and just not find a reason to tell this and tell that. Sometimes, you know, as you're having a conversation with another person, it ain't nothing to just pause for a second and think of what you gonna say in that very moment as you're having the conversation, so that you can pick and choose your words wisely and not sit there and we talk about this, and then you start getting into drama, and you don't want to get into that stuff because it's not going to profit you anything. Matthew 12:36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment. So what we're talking about, what our heart is on, what we're sitting there speaking of, and okay, that's not a good look in the day of judgment, that you sitting there talking about folks and what they got going on, and you saying this about them, saying that about them, talking this about them, talking that about them. That's showing what you about and what's in your heart. And if you don't purge that and clean that and turn to the Most High and be transparent, you're gonna have a serious problem. Straightforward. So still in Sirach, it's not it's not a good thing at all, the talebearer, and just having that envious heart, because an envious heart is going to want to put somebody else down. It's going to want to talk bad about somebody else. It's going to be upset when somebody else is doing well. Is insecure and is always in this negative type of mindset and mind state. That's what is in an envious heart. An envious heart wants what somebody else got. An envious heart wants to be the best of the best, but don't want to put in the work. An envious heart wants to sit there and do this and do that, but can't put in the work and won't do it because they think they just deserve it, and that ain't true. It ain't about any of these things. We need to do what we need to be doing, and it ain't competing with one another. So Sirach 19:15, a person sitting there saying this, saying that. Admonish a friend, for many times it is a slander, and believe not every tale. Because some will just be yapping and yapping. And we saw before. I'm gonna actually go back to it real quick. It's in verse 5 of Sirach 19 again. Let me see. Or verse 6, sorry. He that can rule his tongue shall live without strife, and he that hateth babbling. He just sitting there talking about nothing. Just talking. Yappity yap. Sometimes we gotta learn to shut up. That's something I'm hitting myself with. So I ain't talking about nobody else but me. Let's continue. So if somebody is going through something or messed up on something and is doing all that, it ain't for you to sit there and talk about them and talk trash about them and say this and say that and do this and do that. That ain't how you do stuff. Galatians 6:1. Brethren, if a male or female be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such in one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. They don't sit there and talk about this person. Talk bad about them. Oh, they this. About to say we gotta help each other on this walk. We gotta uplift each other on this walk. We gotta encourage people to go to the Spirit of God, to go to the Word of God, to do those things in the lift up. You know, because if a just man falls 7 times, he gonna get up again. He's going to get up again. If he's just. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. So, like I said, we help one another, not tear one another down. If there's truly a person that's trying to hide evil, the Spirit of God knows and sees that person. And he's the one that's going to handle it. This next section is called vainglory and self-exalting. So that's a pretty bad problem with an envious heart, is that vainglory, wanting to be seen to other people, wanting to be put in that position to look like this and look like that. And you know, they often will, oh yeah, I'm doing this, I got this going on. Yeah, you know what? Shoot. Yeah. I just got through. It's the same thing as like, yeah, I just got through helping this homeless person the other week. Yeah. You know, it ain't nothing. You know, I just like to help the folks out. You feel me? Okay. You just that's just being said to make a person look a certain type of way and to pretty much just boast themselves. But let's go to Galatians 5:26. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. Because that same person, man, I did this, I did that. Man, what's he doing? I did this, I did that. Oh, what's she doing? Oh, yeah. You know what? Let me find the thing with Saul. It keep coming to my mind. I'm going to find it real quick. Hold on. Here it goes right here in 1 Samuel 18:7. This wasn't in there, but it came up. So let me see. It says, and the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul have slain his thousands and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. So he was mad based on the fact that they was talking good about David, but he felt like he should have been above David. So this is what I'm getting into as well. He wants them to sit there and give him these higher praises and these things. Man, him. So it's the same thing. Oh yeah, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. Now the moment they sitting there talking about somebody else better. Oh, well, what about? And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but however thousands. And what more can he have? And what more can he have more but the kingdom? Man, they putting him up there. What they have ascribed unto David 10,000s. And to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can this dude have more but the kingdom? David? Shoot. Let's go to verse 9. And Saul eyed David from that day and forward. And Saul cast the javelin. And he said, and I'm just keeping everything foundational we looking at, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. So we see that envy, that wanting to be in this certain position, in this certain light that everybody else wants him to, that he wants everybody else to see him in. He sat there and he hated David for nothing, literally for no reason. The people was the ones singing the song. Now he gonna take this out on David. This is just showing what was in Saul. That's just showing what was in his heart. That's showing what he had going on. That's who Saul was. So let's continue with this teaching. Let's go back to Galatians 5:26. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. Philippians 2:3. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. So we're not supposed to be sitting here fighting with each other, having these schisms, these divisions, or sitting there wanting this vainglory. It's this self glorification. Because when you self glorifying, you really just glorifying flesh. It's really what you're doing. But, however, in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. So this is not to put anyone on a pedestal or anything like that, but to show that mutual and genuine respect. The fact that each and every one of us is made unique and has a purpose. There is no need to place yourself above anybody else. Because why? Ain't you covered in flesh too? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you look in the mirror, you will see flesh. So it ain't no reason to sit there and place yourself above anybody else. And each and every last one of us is made unique and has a purpose. So you should really be worried about what you need to be doing and how to better yourself daily. Not to be better than somebody else, but to be better than who you was yesterday. So we should never put ourselves on a pedestal in our own minds or even try to compete with one another. No need to boast or to toot your own horn. So we're going to go to Proverbs 27:2. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth. A stranger, and not thine own lips. Exactly the point. So somebody want to say something well about you, all right? Okay. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, let's keep rolling. Now, when it comes to, sharing this word and everything, okay, the credit don't go to the one who's sharing it, because we don't. This is not our word. This is the word that comes from the Most High. So the Most High gets all the credit and all the glory for this word, not us, not us. So when it comes to, oh man, thanks for fixing my car. Oh yeah, bro, cool. Yeah, no problem. It ain't nothing, man. You just keep it rolling. It ain't nothing for you to. You don't need to sit there and be all, man, I'm the best car repairsman there ever was. Like, see, that's an extreme example, but you never know. You don't want to get like that. There's no need. Work Do what you need to do. Keep it rolling. So, same thing is, you don't need to be running around saying this, that, and the third about what you're doing either. When you're doing good things, when you're doing well, when you're doing it, okay, it ain't for you to be running around trying to be seen to everybody. It ain't for you to be running around, you the hottest hot shot that did this and did that and did this. No, if you're going to do something well, do what you got to do. So right here, what is that? Matthew 6:2. Wherefore, when thou doest thine good deeds, do not sound a trumpet before thee. There ain't no reason to sit there and boast yourself in what you're doing. As the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. So ones that, sharing this word and doing that, you don't got to sit there, oh yeah, I've done this. No, do the work. Be humble. Keep it rolling. It's real straightforward. So we shouldn't need to do that. But you got some people also, this coming to my mind, that's in Sirach. You got some people, who will sit there, and when they do good, they not, that's not even what they really trying to do. They sitting there, they want to do what they really want to do, what they want to do. They only doing well because they feel like they have to, not because they want to. Because you don't need to sit there and toot your own horn in front of everybody and do this and do that. And you also don't need to sit there and be forced. Okay, if you're going to do good, do it from the heart. Do it because that's what you want to do. Do well because that's what you want to do, not because you feel like you need to do it. So I'm gonna pause this real quick, and I'm gonna pull it up in Sirach. I'm gonna grab that for us real quick. Okay, that's Sirach 14:6. And this one is it, man. This one no game. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. Somebody that envieth themselves. You got some people who genuinely, oh man, this got me thinking. That this is one that will sit there and they'll miss the stuff they used to be doing. They'll sit there and be doing this and doing that. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do something. And they just so full of themselves. They are full of themselves. Full of themselves. This, that, and a bag of chips and all that. And they envy themselves. They will sit there. They won't. Oh man, that's a whole thing in itself to be like that. But the focus is gonna be verse 7. And if he do good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. What is that verse there? Proverbs 27:1. Because the same thing is right here. We're just looking at, this self-exalting, this vainglory, and all these things. So, boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Okay, so it ain't no reason to sit there and, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, this, that, this. Okay, you don't know what's gonna happen the next day. You probably ain't gonna do that at all. Worry about what's going on for today. Handle everything daily, each day as it comes through. It ain't no reason, I'm gonna do this. You don't need to do that. The only one that deserves the praise and the glory and all these things is the Most High. Period. That's it. Not us for any reason or anything like that. Praise the Most High. Praise the Father. Psalms 44:8. In God we boast all the day long, and confess thy way forever. Meditate on this. Same thing when you just thinking about all the wonderful, the fact that you got to wake up this morning, the fact that you got to go to sleep last night, that you got to eat at the table, that you got to learn of the Most High, learn of the things that you got to do, learn of the things that you got to work on. We was allowed to see another day, a day that we have never seen before, a brand new day. We got to see it, and we don't deserve anything. So why should a person act as if they deserve this and they deserve that? Really, we should appreciate the wisdom that's been given to us and the fact that we are fed every day. The fact that the Most High is the Most High, and that each and every one of us has been brought to this time and to this point to continue learning, to continue on the path that we have not, that we still alive, that we have not died. Some may be alive according to the flesh and dead according to the spirit, but those who are alive in the spirit, that's a wonderful thing. Those who are alive in the spirit, that's a wonderful thing. Because the flesh has to die. We can't be living according to the flesh. We can't be walking according to the flesh. We can't be doing none of these things there, because it's not going to profit nothing. The ways of sin are the ways of death. The ways of the flesh are the ways of death. So we need to be walking according to the spirit. So this next section is just looking at that inward change and then learning contentment, learning to be content. And this will be Proverbs. We'll start at Proverbs. I'm going to do this over here. Proverbs 3 and 5. Trust in the Spirit of God with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Verse 6. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Desire the Spirit of God and depart from evil. All right. Psalms 10 and 3. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Spirit of God abhorreth, hateth. Verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. Why? Because that's a prideful heart. That's a heart that is full of pride. So let me do this real quick. Okay. So over here, let's go to 2 Timothy 3 and 2. Because this is serious. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, and not separated, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. See, Saul was sitting there, was mad that they gave David 10,000, so he only got 1,000. Saul, be glad that you got 1,000, bruh. For real. Be content with what you got, what was given to you. Be content that you was able to do, or you was allowed to do, what you was able to do. Don't be hating on the next man because he's doing this, that. You don't know what he had to go through to get to that point. You don't know how hard he had to work to get to that point. You don't know what his walk looked like. You don't know what his relationship with the Most High looked like. You don't know that. So worry about what you need to do. It ain't for you to put your measuring stick on his life. It ain't for you to teach by your metric what you think is right. Lean not on your own understanding. Worry about what you need to do to better yourself every day and to walk with the Most High Spirit, to walk in His Word, not what the next man is doing. All right. So these, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. talking about these fleshly men, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh. So, with that being said, that's all the flesh has to offer. Not one good thing, just a bunch of problems. So, what should happen? Colossians 3:2. Set your affection on things above, not on the things on the earth. Colossians 3:5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Because you shouldn't be worried about what the next man got. That's in that envious heart. For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. We shouldn't be the children of disobedience, and we shouldn't have works of disobedience. We need to have works of promise. Fruits of the Spirit. So let me see. Let's go to Ephesians. And we're wrapping this up now. I said this one wasn't going to be super long. So Ephesians 4:22. That you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lusts. And what needs to happen? And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. We need to be seeking after the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that comes from the Most High, and follow after His ways, and abide in truth, abide in that light, and change our ways. We need to abandon the ways of the flesh and pursue the ways of the Spirit daily, mortifying our members daily. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. And you can find all those things in the Word. So we should meditate on the Word. These are the things we should be meditating on the Word. Matthew 6:31. For that reason, take no thought, saying, what shall we learn? Or what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or withal shall we be clothed? In 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So, the focus should be on getting to the kingdom and putting in this work. Not what the next man is doing. Not I want this or I want that. I'm trying to do this or I'm trying to do that. I think this or I think that. He did this and he did that. She did this and she did that. They got this and they got that. Not sitting here talking bad about folks and their life and what they got going on. Not sitting there with an envious heart. Focus on the walk and the journey and learning what you need to do to get better on your walk every day. Taking everything one day at a time. Get straight to it every day with the work that you have to do. Meditate on the word and practice the ways of righteousness daily. Be content with what you have and what you've been given and focus on what's important. Not what the next man got and what the next man is doing. We truly have to humble ourselves in order to receive wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from the Most High. We have to humble ourselves because pride is far from the Spirit of God. So, a verse that, it's coming to my mind, but I would recommend meditate on this because it's so serious. I'm a full screen it. He that can rule his tongue shall live without strife, and he that hateth babbling, just talking about nothing, shall have less evil. So meditate on this throughout the day, or before you go to bed, or however you just meditate on it. But that's all I got. So this has been Deacon Kahleial, and each and every one of you, shalom.